Hi, I'm Louie and I like to make things. Recently, I was telling someone about the different things I like to make, including hand-poured soy wax candles, because they are the soy wax is from a renewable resource. It's a clean burn without toxic chemicals going into your lungs, and it's easy to clean up. So the containers that I use can be reused. And of course, I can clean up my mess after I've made a bunch of candles. Here is a brief photo montage of some of the things I've made. Okay, so I hope that worked right. I hope I was able to splice and click, splice. I don't know the words. I'm not a good film editor or a film editor at all, so I'm doing my best here. But anyways, if that didn't work, then here's some other quick examples of some of the little things that I make and hand pour with molds, which is what I want to go over today. Because when I was telling this person about this, they were like, oh, I can make them look like waffles and things like that. She said, oh, well, you just use a mold for that, right? Like, so not impressed, which is fine. And the short answer is yes, but it's not always that simple. So today I wanted to share some of the tricks of the trade with you. So if you decide that you want to try something like this, maybe you can learn from my mistakes. Okay, so here we go. Of course, there's different ways to melt the wax, and you've seen me use this little pot before, which I've been having a lot of fun with. Otherwise, I do the sort of double boiler. If you do it like this, it works great, but you need to make sure that this pot is dedicated, because as you see, you will develop a film of wax within the pot. So I got an old pot that I don't use, and I don't want to use because of the, I don't know, the non-stick stuff. I got rid of all of these kinds of pots. So I use it for candle making. All right, toss that aside. So that's what we used to make. So when I do the whipped cream, hopefully I showed you a picture of that, where it looks like whipped cream, but it's actual candle wax. That requires that you cool the wax to a temperature that'll give it that whipped cream consistency, but not too cool that you can't do anything with it, that it begins to harden. So there's a lot, that can be a little tricky. So normally when I pour wax, it's between the temperatures of like 120 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we're going to sort of get it down to that 130 mark, and then just keep an eye on it and just constantly stir it, and it'll become cloudy. And then once it's cloudy and it has like where it's not hard, it's still soft, but it's not liquid pour, then you can whip it with something like this and then put it in a bag. I know what these are called, but it escapes me. But I like to call them frosting bags. So that's why the real word escapes me. So put it in your frosting bag. It is important that these tips that you use are big, like extra large. Otherwise, I have found that once you get it all ready, you get it the right temperature and you prep it up, and then you go to make your whipped cream, it cools at the tip and hardens right there, and you can't get your whipped cream out. So you want a nice, large frosting tip. And okay, the other thing is when you mold these, I have a bucket full of molds. Actually, I have 2 buckets full of molds. One's dedicated for soap and other is for wax. And sometimes I have the same mold for both, or the same type of mold for both, but I label them wax and the other will be soap. Again, the wax is easy to clean out, and soap is always easy to clean out. So if you have to use for both, that's great. But just personally, there's residual stuff in there at times, and I prefer to just keep it separate. I don't want my wax with my soap. But again, all natural soy wax is not bad on your skin. All right, I'm going off on a tangent again. Okay, so you have the molds. You have to let that sit. So soy wax is a very soft wax, and you really need to give it time to cure. If you get impatient, and I am very impatient, and start to unmold it too soon, you could break it and have to start all over again. Some of the more intricate or tiny molds that, like especially my succulents, even if I give them like hours and hours or days to cure, it still can break when I demold them. So I have to be very, very careful on that. Also, sometimes things don't fit the way they want, or I can't get the exact mold that I want. So I have these carving tools that come in really handy that I use to reshape the wax the way that I want it. Then I know you've seen when I've done the skincare videos that I say you always have to use this dedicated pipette that you can't reuse with the skincare stuff, but I save mine. And then when I need it for wax, I can use it for wax because that doesn't matter. And sometimes, again, where you have really small designs like this flower, and I want to do the middle a different color, pouring it might over pour, so I can just suck the wax up and put it in there. Now for that, it needs to be a little on the warmer side, but not too hot. The other thing is, this is a tip that's really great that you'll learn on your own or from this video, that you need to preheat your molds. So I have a heat gun, and it's good to have heat resistant gloves because you're holding the molds or whatnot, or use a heat resistant surface. I always have silicone matting down, and you want to preheat the molds so they're warm before you put the wax in them. Otherwise you'll get sort of this white look to it. You won't have all your colors. And color is another important thing because it's not that easy. Coloring wax can be quite difficult at times. And it's hard to get the same exact color every time. So, you know, when people see a candle that I make and they're like, oh, I want the exact same thing, I'm kind of like, well, everyone's different. Everything's different. The color mix might be a little off, temperatures, whatnot, but different ways to color my wax is I have liquid colors. This is the one I like. And it can be quite messy at times. Sometimes my fingers end up the different colors, but it just takes a few drops to get most of the colors that I need. But depending on what I want, like darker colors are harder, and doing coffee is always very difficult because you've got to sort of add a little black to the brown and things like that. So there's just a lot of color mixing involved and trial and error on that part. There's also wax chips or flakes that you can add that are color. These black ones are always great because they'll help me get the darker color that I need. Then there's also, you know, soy wax blocks as well that you can add. Again, like something like this where my Santa is white, but I want colors on him. So I hand painted him, and I used this candle wax pens, which are great. I don't use it as a pen. I use it as a paint. The soy wax, again, is very soft. So, knocking everything down. Sorry, gingerbread man. So when you paint it, you want a very soft bristle brush. The other thing is it takes multiple coats. So you have to do a coat, let it dry, and then come back hours later, another coat, let it dry, so on and so forth. So doing a Santa like that takes a while. And the other thing is your hands are warm, so you have to be very careful on how you hold them, because while you're holding him to do your other coat, if you're touching the previous coats or paint, the warmth of your hands will remove that coating of paint that you've applied. So these guys are very delicate, but they look so good when they're done. What else? Oh, another thing is sometimes I like to give like a sand or snow look to my candles. So hopefully I showed you some examples of that. But I actually buy this soy pearl wax. So it's already like little beads of the wax, or of wax. I get unscented, so that way I can add it to whatever scented candle I want. It'll melt like a normal wax candle, but it's nice to sort of put it on top of something. I don't know if you can see this. I don't want to break the little guys inside, but I've got it in here for a sand effect for my succulents. And then in Christmas time, I'll have it with my Christmas tree for a snow effect, the Christmas trees that I make. Let's see, I think, the other thing is, like, if I have extra wax, like, sometimes, you know, you either have too little or too much. So I always like to err on a little too much of the wax. And so I'll pour whatever's extra, and I don't worry about cleaning this out because this is like my extra wax. So I'll pour it into these, and originally I would just put them in bags and label the scent and that was in it, the fragrance that was in it, and then remelt it and use it later if I want something that same scent and color. But I started selling wax melts, and so that's here, right? So okay, I had to cut myself off there because I'm running out of time. But if you enjoyed this and you found it helpful, please like, subscribe, share with friends, get the word out there so I can be doing more videos. Add any comments you have, anything you'd like to see. Look in my comments below. I have links to all of these supplies and things if you're interested in trying this out yourself. And it will be to come, links for the pajamas. A lot of people have been asking me for links for my pajamas, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to get affiliates credit or whatever it is, so I get the 1 or 2% commission without any extra cost to you. But please just keep watching the videos, and I'll do my best to keep improving it and adding more things to get you interacting with me, and hopefully we'll grow together. Thanks. Bye.